Hey guys, this is an early morning stream, very early. So 8 o'clock here in Los Angeles, 11 a.m. in East Coast. The reason we're having a stream is because it's 24 hours until we close up this Kickstarter for Evermind 1 through 6. And it's a very special day. It's been a lot of work. This has been like a 5 year in the making. And so we're excited to share that today marks the 24-hour mark. So without further ado, let me add Mr. Sean Chen to the stream as well. What's up, Sean?
Hey, good morning. You know, it's morning for you guys, but as an artist, it's early morning for me. So
Yeah, that's true. This is usually when most artists wake up, right, or even still asleep before their breakfast.
yeah, I had to set an alarm to make this live stream. So
Yeah, it's funny, Sean. I always feel like every time we're approaching the end of one of these, I feel like it's like we went on a presidential campaign, and I'm like your campaign manager. Obviously, Francis is actually our campaign manager, and you're running for president. So how you feel this time around?
pretty good. I mean, I think we ran a good campaign.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we had a little bit of a rough start with, I think, because Kickstarter was on strike, so I didn't know how much that affected things. But the key is the very first day launch. I think the algorithm looks at your first day and sees how you do, and then it decides whether or not to push you out at all. So I think we kind of came out of the gate because of the strike. I don't think we got as much of the word out, but then we had to kind of make up for it. I think we pretty much did.
Yeah, no, I think we did, and we were pulling like every trick out of pocket and reaching out to as many streamers as possible. So first of all, I want to thank everybody who contributed to this. It takes a village, and what does it take to put something like this together? What's really cool is on our first campaign we had 365 backers. Now, Sean, one of the things that Francis actually looked into was a lot of the first campaign was based on the stockpile of your original art that really kind of kept things going. But this one, we actually had a lot more comic sales, and so it's interesting just to see the different types of campaign that happen. And I think as we kind of learn about Kickstarter better and this whole crowdfunding world, we'll just be better at it all as well.
Yeah, I'm kind of learning this as I go. You know, I've been doing comics for 3 decades, and I used to just draw the pencil the comics, and now I ink it and then just write it. And then the weirdest thing of all is putting on that marketing hat and then actually getting out there and pushing it and showing my face on camera more than than I'm comfortable with. I did a show last night, so every other day on some sort of live stream pushing it.
Yeah, and thanks to guys like Let's Do This, who has been a great supporter through it all. And if you guys haven't checked out his video recap at New York Comic Con, definitely check out Let's Do This on all social channels.
Yeah, he's one of our most loyal followers, and I think when someone gets to be like either on the fan side, if they're around so much that they actually eventually end up in the business. So I always pick his brain about everything we do, every initiative, just from a collector's point of view. So he's been great that way.
Yeah, for sure. And then you also have a question from Stan. Is Sean superstitious when it comes to this artistry? Thanks. Interesting question.
I'm not, in general, not superstitious at all.
So, yeah, I don't think so. I was going to say that too. I was like, I don't think Sean is at all, actually.
Yeah, I'm a very science and database guy, so it's not the best for being a writer because there's so much magic and fantasy in writing. But in writing, I do believe in superstition, but in real life, no.
Alrighty, so without further ado, let's also add to the stage our executive editor, Mr. Terry Kavanaugh.
Hello.
Hey,
Terry, how are you?
Good. How are you?
How are things going? You're in New York. You've been working hard. So
I've been working hard, doing comic book work and preparing for some renovations in our apartment here.
Nice. So guys,
even physical labor.
It's all good. It's like a life balance, It's all about the constant renovations and constant comic books. It's a good dose.
What more can I ask of life?
Yeah, and folks, I mean, if you guys haven't met Terry, I'm sure you guys have seen him on the channel. with some of his own content. But one of the biggest differences of this campaign compared to the last one was also Terry's involvement. He was able to get some amazing talent to come on board and do some variant covers.
Yeah, well, people love the material, so they were happy to jump on board and do the covers.
Yeah, no, super excited to kind of meet some of the guys as well, reflect on their thoughts around the materials, and then kind of dive into it. So one of the last things that I want to talk about before we invite some additional guests are this last call for a Bad Idea 24/7 Comics crossover lithograph. So Sean, would you mind giving some background on this art and your process behind it all? Terry, I don't know if you've seen this yet, but
I haven't.
yeah, we announced this crossover where people who backed both campaigns will have a chance to get this limited edition lithograph. There's going to be a colored version for anyone who backed both campaigns at 125 and up. And then there's this black and white version, which is basically anyone who backs at any physical level for both campaigns.
Nice.
So Sean, the artistry behind this, you want to share a little bit more?
Yeah, this is based on, since we're doing that team up thing with Bad Idea, they have a campaign that's running right now. I think they just launched yesterday and it looks pretty successful. So this is for Tomas Giorello's Planet Death artist edition, I think they call it, or his original art edition. I'm not sure what it's called, but it just showcases his art, and it's a very deluxe type thing where you see process and everything. So you guys asked me to maybe we can do a little crossover thing. So I had to put the Planet Death characters in with Evermind characters, which is kind of a strange team up, but so we're trying to think of an idea of what to do. So I always love the Jim Lee Uncanny X-Men. I think it's 268 cover. So it seemed to work really well with these characters. So yeah, I kind of went all out. It's very intimidating because if it were any other artist, it wouldn't be so intimidating. But this is for Tomas Giorello's his Planet Death, which is visually one of the best pieces of comic art I've seen in a long time. So I had to kind of get up to that standard if I could at all, and put this out. So I did my typical, lots of rendering. I spent a lot of time on it. Put a lot of TLC in it, and I hopefully that people see it and they really like it, and the colored version looks great as well. So I'm very excited about this and interested to see who backs both campaigns to get it. But
yeah, speaking of the color version, I think Jane just updated it. Here we go.
Wow.
It's amazing.
Cool.
Yeah, it was one of the main character from Planet Death, with our main characters, Brittany, Bobo, and Mech. And then the weapon that's the mysterious weapon they're trying to destroy in the story of Planet Death is also included. So I think it'd be very interesting to see if this will materialize into something more than just a print. Because I think the lithograph's great, but I would love to see this come to life in some way.
As a whole story.
That'd be awesome. Some sort of official crossover, Cool. Yeah. So go for it.
I was just gonna say that these are both science fiction books. So if you get both, you'll have two science fiction stories, but they are very, very much different. Like I'm beginning to learn that science fiction is a very broad term. So Planet Death is very futuristic and very far away. I think it's 1 million miles away on a cold planet, and it feels very alien and very isolating. And our book is in a very near, like 10 years from now, and it's very grounded, full of regular Earth people, and it's an entirely different sci-fi experience. So definitely, I think people will really enjoy both.
I agree. I think it's a great match. So without further ado, let's welcome some of our variant cover artists. We'll start today with Mr. Brian Anden. What's up, Brian? How's it going?
Hi, everyone.
Hey, how's it going?
Brian, would you mind doing a quick intro of yourself and your journey as a comic book artist?
Oh, hi, everyone. So I'm Brian Nandan. I'm from the Philippines. And I've been working in the comic industry for around a decade. started when I was in high school professionally, and I'm very thankful that until right now, I'm still in the industry, and Carl is giving me a lot of jobs.
I try, and he's doing great work as well.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, I think his covers is the one that whenever I go on live stream and they flip through the campaign, they always spend a lot of time looking at that one cover. It's very compelling, and the idea and execution was really nice. So, great work on it.
Yeah, that's that. Why don't we pull it up and talk about it?
Instructions, so.
Oh yeah.
So Brian, let's talk about this. How this come to be, what was your process behind it, and then we'd love to hear Sean and Terry's reflection on it as well. We're gonna talk about art today.
Oh, awesome. When you mentioned to me that I'm going to do a K-pop Demon Hunter variant cover, I was surprised because I just watched it like 3 nights ago before you asked me, and so this cover really meant a lot, and my wife loved it. So I immediately asked her. I told her that I'm going to do a cover like a homage for K-pop Demon Hunters, and she was very excited. And I told her I'm going to do this with Carl's guidance, and I'm going to show Sean and Daniel. So that was it's a very exciting cover to me.
It's beautiful.
Thank you so much. I'm really glad people liked it.
So Sean, what was your first reaction when you first saw it?
Well, when you first brought up the idea that you wanted to do an homage to K-pop Demon Hunter, I was like a little bit puzzled because it was very kind of like a trendy thing. Like I watched it with my daughter a long time ago, and we both really love it. It's sort of like a juggernaut. It seemed to be a strange mashup, but it seems to be one of the more popular things that we have on that campaign. So yeah, and the execution, I think it does kind of have what's inside the book, which is like a very like saturated, bright colors. Even though we have like a dystopian sci-fi feel, there is like this book is very visual, and I just like the whole color pop and everything. And I think K-pop Demon Hunter is like a big juggernaut. It seems like everyone is mashing up with it, and because people just love it.
Yeah, it just came from out of nowhere.
Yeah, yeah, and that's kind of like what all of us hope to be. I mean, we're like a smaller company, but you can maneuver quickly and you can have new ideas. Whether like the corporations that put out bigger comics, they're kind of stuck in their ways. So it's always great. It's funny when K-pop Demon Hunter came out at the same time one of the Pixar movies. Pixar was like a juggernaut, and it totally eclipsed that. So I think that's the model that all of us want to do. Is like the independents are kind of where the future is, and we're all trying to struggle for that spot that comes out of nowhere and takes over.
Yeah, for sure. I think it's definitely the rise of independence right now. We're seeing a ton of independent publishers coming up, and just bringing back the core of comics, which is sequential storytelling at its best, and even stories in general. I think are lacking in some of the more corporate settings, as they really just treat comics like merch, and so I think it was cool to kind of get a special touch from Brian on this. So Brian, what was kind of the theory behind this background? Like, I really like this whole kind of music, music waves on like an old radio with the neon matching colors. Like, what did you have a vision for it when you were working on it? We'd love to hear.
That is actually a funny story. Very quick story, but it's very funny one. I was just watching Hannah Montana from like very very old show, and then I saw it. I saw the stage with red lights and synthwave background, and yeah, I think that's what I want to put in the background of K-pop Hunters.
That's awesome.
Because they're both singers, and it just makes sense of the setting and the cover.
It's awesome. What's up, Flexi Collects? We got Jane, we got G Lee, we got Let's Do This Andy, and Stan as well. Lots of folks tuning in this morning. It's morning's a good time to stream because we're getting some pretty good audience. So with that said, Brian, thanks for that. We love this cover, super fun, and I'd like to bring another guest on, PJ. What's up, PJ?
Hey, PJ.
Welcome.
Good morning.
We can hear you now.
Yeah. Hi.
So
Hi,
Brian was all the way from the Philippines. You're in Vancouver, right?
Yes, we just moved here last year. Funnily enough, I know of Brian for quite some time on Facebook. It's funny that we've never met at any of the conventions in the Philippines, but yeah, I've known of his work. And of course, I'm a super big fan of Sean, like since forever.
I'm an old man, yeah.
You don't look it, at least. Yeah.
So PJ, what brought you to Vancouver?
Well, yeah, my wife is studying here, so yeah, last year we moved here, and yeah, I've been busy working on some stuff. So yeah, it's nice that we moved because I actually got to go to the US cons more often now. And yeah, as sadly though, I missed you in SDCC. LA Comic Con, yeah.
Yeah. And then how do you know Crease? Because we were not able to find you. We walked around Artist Alley. So it was me, Dinesh, and our friend Linjay. Walked around Artist Alley. I was like, where's PJ? And then we ran to Crease. And then Crease like, oh, you guys looking for someone? And we're like, yeah, we're looking for PJ. He's like, oh, I do. Like, what? He's like, that's one guy I know. He's upstairs. But by then, I was Wenjay's ride, and he had to go. And so Dinesh came to pick up the art from you.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I've worked with Chris on a bunch of he worked on the same projects I did for Saturday Morning Cards. I think he did some work on Goosebumps. So yeah.
Okay. Your piece is here somewhere. I don't know. I should have pulled it out. But let's talk about your piece while we have you here. So, all right. I mean, this was this also stood out, and you had brought on both the black and white and the colors. So talk to us about it. We'd love to hear more and reaction as well.
Yeah, well, first of all, it's funny that this project was like 3 years in the making for the two of us, like Carl and I, because I was checking my Facebook messages, the archives from like I don't know why. I had this inkling like I think I'm missing some messages here. So I checked that folder or that list of messages, and I saw a message from Carl, and it was from 3 years ago. And apparently it was buried. It was buried by several random messages like spam. And I was like, wait, this guy. So I checked. Oh my God, it's Carl Choi. And I was like, oh, he messaged me 3 years ago. So I I replied back, and I was like, Carl, yeah, I got your message like 3 years ago, and I'm sorry, blah 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 blah. And we talked about it, and yeah, he offered to like have me on for a variant. He sent me the comic, and I was blown away. Like I've been watching. I'm a sci-fi like geek, like super sci-fi geek, and reading it, like I was blown away by the story. It was and when I was designing the covers, I made a few like variations of this concept. Like I thought of the robotic bodies as like their sarcophagus or something like that. Like it's something that holds them together. Like I want it to show like it's this the soul is in there. So I want the characters to seem like the body, the robotic body itself. It could be threatening, it's powerful, but inside like it's human. It's all human in there. So that's the concept that I did for that cover.
That's great. Sean, any reactions to it?
This is another one. When I show the campaign on a lot of streams, they look at this one a lot. It seems to it's very clever and that it really sums up the whole story. And when I saw it, I get it immediately. And it's very cinematic. And also, I think sometimes when you do like a digital rendering, there's a lot of gradation and a lot of real gradation, different colors in there. It can get kind of overwhelming. So I think with a completely white background, it has a powerful silhouette, and the concept is really strong. And this is like one that everyone talks about, and they kind of linger on it. I think it might have an advantage because when we draw comics, we do the black outline. It almost looks like a 4-color process. Even though I do a lot of hatching, it's still basically ink lines, and then people kind of look at that and they kind of associate that with comic books and just kind of like a lower tier of art. And then they come across like this one and Riccardo Federici's, they look like oil paintings. So they look at it and say, oh, this is special. So the good thing about having variant covers is that you can have different art styles. And this is definitely one that really added to the campaign. Really clever idea. You know, I wish I thought of it. So.
Oh, that means a lot. That means so much. Thank you.
How about you, Brian? When you saw this, any initial reactions?
Oh, I want to ask actually if it's traditional or digital, or it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
mix.
Yeah, let me answer that because I got it right here.
Ah,
Oh, so it's done in grayscale and then colored digitally?
Yes.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
man.
It's
Wow,
really
it looks-
beautiful.
It looks great
Yeah,
in
it is.
black and white.
Yeah, it looks
Thank you.
great. I mean, what was the process like on this, PJ? I mean, it's awesome. Look at that.
Well, back then I would just pencil everything on the paper, but recently I've learned that I could just like do cleaner lines digitally, and I would like print them out in very, very like almost near light gray color, and then from there I would render it using Copic markers and gouache, acrylic gouache.
So cool.
So yeah,
wow, gouache. Really? Wow, damn.
yeah.
And then you add the effects like on the final touch.
Yes, basically I just scan it once it's traditionally rendered, like using paints and markers, and then I would go over it digitally. Like I would add colors, I would add effects, and yeah. But mostly I keep all of the details that I do traditionally. I don't want to lose any of it during the digital rendering.
You know what I appreciate about it is that like a lot of times when you ask someone to do a variant cover, they ask you like, well, give me the greatest hits about the story, or give me like what other people have been doing, and they'll flip through and they'll pick the most interesting thing for them to draw. I don't blame them for not reading it. It's a lot to read just to do a cover. So they just kind of flip through and see like what image appears the most, if there's any hot chicks in it, and if there's any cool robots. And I won't name any names of Howard Chaykin. He's so big, I really can't ask him to read the whole thing. I don't expect him to, but he did a great cover, and also he was homaging one of his own covers, so there's really no need for him to. But it looks like you actually read the book, which is an honor to me.
Yeah.
Because,
It's something like when I started reading it, I couldn't like stop. Like it's so good. Solid.
Oh, cool. Thank you very much thanks for taking the time to read it and making this cover. It's very story based. So, like I said, I wish I came up with that idea.
Yeah, awesome.
Very clever.
Very clever.
Thank
And
you.
speaking of Howard Chaykin, he was actually supposed to be on with us today, but he's actually sick and under the weather. But yeah, he was able to bless us through Terry on this homage to his own cover of American Flag. So what was that interaction like, Terry, when you spoke to Howard about this?
It's always a pleasure to work with Howard, and he's super creative and he's super, super reliable, which is a very rare trait in this industry. And he was all in on this. And by the way, he texted me a little while ago apologizing that he wouldn't be able to make it, but asking me to give shit to everyone for him.
I love that. I mean, he had a great quote with us as well. I mean, where was this? Here it is. The great thing about mechanical gorillas is that they don't smell like the real thing. The great thing about sexy robots is that they do and then some.
Yeah, that's Howard.
Yeah, it's come up a few times on a few streams where people like literally stop here and just crack up. It's hilarious. So, before we keep going, let's bring on another guest of ours who has been a very important addition to this campaign, our campaign manager, Francis Stokes. What's up, Francis?
How's it going, guys?
Hey, Francis.
Hey, did you do something of your internet? 'Cause this is the most clear. This is the most clear I've seen you so far on the stream.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I honestly believe that the problem was Safari. So just so you know what Carl's talking about, I did a stream. The last stream I did with him, I kept kind of like, I would speak and then it would come out like, a minute later while other people are talking. And I finally was like, this isn't working. And I tried to close all the windows on my computer. And somehow I ended up with two of me. Like there was, all the other guests, and there were two videos of me from two different angles. Like I could do like a mirror effect, but and I don't even know how that happened. But afterwards, I looked it up because I have a good connection, even though it's Spectrum, and it said that Safari doesn't play well with StreamYard, and that was my browser because I'm using an iPad as my. So I immediately loaded Firefox and made that the default. So we'll see. This is the test. If there's two of me, you'll know that it wasn't the problem. So far, so good.
Yeah, Francis has been a huge help for this campaign. So just having, someone who focused on the campaign, thinking through the strategy and then executing, it kind of just allowed us to plug and play into things. So as Sean and I or Terry had ideas, we could just hand it over to Francis, working with Karen and Jane, our team, to execute. And so it was a very helpful venture just to have someone ideating with, because, it's a whole distribution channel in itself. And it just takes a lot of time to think through, how to approach this. And, Sean, you and I was on a stream with Dinesh yesterday. And the day before yesterday, and even he was saying he was about to stay up all night refreshing everything, and that was kind of like Francis, Jane, Karen, and I the night before just staying up all night working on the campaign launch.
Yeah, especially with smaller imprints like 24/7 and with all the indie publishers on Kickstarter, all that's on you, and it's a job in of itself to figure out how to get the story out there and how to have people discover it and how to have them connect with it. But it's really been a pleasure working on Sean's story, and all of the contributions of everyone here have been. There's Jane, and it's probably very late there for her, starting to be, because she's in another part of the world.
All right, so we have another.
All the graphics and everything she's provided for the campaign page that comes from Jane, who just
for sure. Jane has been a superstar in the 24/7 and
a lot of very last minute things that have to be images have to be generated very quickly within hours. She always seems to be available. I'm not sure when she sleeps.
Yeah, we're very blessed.
Or if, yeah, I've noticed that too.
Okay, so it's kind of going back to the audience. Let's see what Stan had to say. So Stan had a question for I'll put it up to the panel, and Terry, why don't you kind of take this because you have way more experience than any of us here when it comes to comic. And Stan's question is: does the art come before the story, or vice versa for comic creation? Thanks.
In my experience, it's always the story first. It can be inspired by an artist doing a piece. It can be just an image of a character, and that can inspire where the story goes, but it has to be written first. And in my day at Marvel, what we used to do was we would do a plot. The writer would do a plot. It would get approved by the editor or make any changes necessary. Then it would go to the penciler, and the penciler would pencil it all, come back to the writer for dialogue. DC always did full script, where they wrote the plot and the dialogue together, and then the art came after that. But
that other version is literally referred to as the Marvel method, right?
Yeah,
that
it is.
That art then dialogue approach.
Yes. Yeah, and I always preferred that. It might be just that it's the environment I was raised in, and I was comfortable with it, but I felt it gave more freedom to the artists. Like the DC method or the full script method, it was Clark and Lois are standing in the office, the Daily Planet office. Perry's in the background. Clark is saying this, Lois is saying this. It really dictated exactly what the artist had to draw every panel. Whereas I think the Marvel method allowed more creative input from the artist. You could even at a certain point say, Doc Ock and Spider-Man get into a fight on the rooftop and wreck a water tower. And you could just ask for, say, give me 2 pages of that. And then the artist could go wild doing that however they wanted. I preferred that method. But again, that's just what I'm comfortable with.
That's great. Let's hear from the panel as well. Like, what does everyone else prefer? We all got a lay of the land of how things work. So, Brian, do you have a preference on approach, like Marvel, DC way? I'm like Terry. I'm with Terry. I like the idea that there's room for artists to help the storytelling because we are in a visual medium, and I do feel like every creation is a collaboration between the artist and the writer, and so it allows room for that co-creation process to happen. But I'm curious for Brian, PJ, and then Sean. You could go last on that.
For me, I think a lot of thing works actually with me because I've collaborated with a lot of writers. I found that mostly that works for me. There's plot line story first, and then that's because story. That's how I will design the characters. That's how I will decide how the world of this book will do. So mostly story first, but there are times that especially when I create my own stories, it starts with the character design. It's like Akia, the thing that I pitched with you before. I think the character design came first, and then the story just the story just laid out to me from time to time.
Cool. PJ?
Depends.
For me, as Terry said, some of the stuff that I've done before were inspired by artwork. Like, when I collaborate with writers, of course, the story comes first. But there would be times when, like for example, I created a story for a heavy metal magazine. It was a time travel story, and it was inspired by some random sci-fi art that I saw. So it started from there. But in my work in like illustration, in tabletop illustration, trading cards, like the same way I did the cover for Evermind, I would ask for the context, like what is happening here, and then I would work from there, just so the artwork isn't detached from the spirit of the series or the tabletop game or whatever. So yeah.
Yeah, while we wait for Sean, Francis, you're a writer yourself. Francis himself come from the screenplay writing side, but created his own comic with his collaborator. What was your process like? Without context of how things traditionally work, you kind of had to figure it out yourself. So what was you guys' approach?
That's right. I met Andrea, my artist. So I have a comic called Wicked Town, which is about witches living in the San Fernando Valley in the 1970s. So I went down to Comic-Con specifically trying to find an artist to collaborate with, and Andrea and I met. And at the time, she's a video game artist, and I said to her, "Well, what kind of story would you like to write?" And eventually, this comic that we're doing is born out of a TV pitch that I had. But she was interested in the idea, and so I think that Andrea and I have a much more collaborative relationship than you typically see in comics. Because typically the publisher's in charge, they hire the writer, later they hire the artist. Even if the artist is doing the art and then the writer's putting the words on top of it, there's less interaction between them than the relationship that Andrea and I have. we work together a lot to develop the story. But then I tend to write it. I follow Ed Brubaker. I'm a big fan of Brubaker and Phillips, and he put out his comic Pulp. He put out what he called the Process Edition, which shows it has the script. It has Sean talking about how he does the art, and that was my template. That I said, all right, I'm going to write scripts like this. Also, Anthony Johnston, comic book writer. I use Scrivener, which is a writing program, and he actually created a comic book template for that. So I actually probably use even more inspiration from what he did. And I tend to, I'll write the script. Andrea will look at it. She'll have her thoughts. Then sometimes the way that I block out the panels, once we talk about it together, we thumbnail it kind of in conversations. She'll change things. And sometimes I'll say, well, the next 2 pages, draw it however you see it. So it's maybe a combination of Marvel and the traditional, or I guess the DC approach, the script, and then you draw to it approach.
Yeah, Francis, you bring up a really good point. You and Andrea collaborate very closely, and that's my preference too. For everyone on 24/7 Comics team, I try to get out of the way and let them work together. And Terry, and this question is for you, because in recent days, when I talk to a lot of the creators, writers, and artists, literally never meet. They'll work on 5 projects together, and they've never spoken a word. They're kept completely apart, arm's length, and are not even allowed to talk to each other. Have no contact info. Was that the case before, or did that evolve after your time?
That evolved after my time. That was definitely not the case. I'm not sure. I have no idea. It seems crazy to me. I will say that even when I got back involved in comics and I was editing for Zenescope for a while, I would call some artists, and the artists would just fumble through the call because they'd never been spoken to by anyone. Their entire working relationship with the company was through emails. And I didn't understand that at all, because I wanted more back and forth. And emails don't lend themselves to that as much. I wanted to know what the artist wanted to do, and then that could help me place that artist or figure out what story to use them on. I do not understand creative people not interacting. I just don't get that at all. I don't think you're going to get the best product that way.
I agree.
I always felt my job as an editor was to pick the right teams for the right project and then facilitate what they had to do. If I could make lunch for them every day so they didn't have to stop working and to make their own lunch, I would do that. I never actually did that, but I would have. My job was just to take away anything that came between the creators and the work.
Yeah, that's great. That's what I love about you and your process, and just the fluidity of supporting the creator. So Sean's back now. So Sean, what's your process been for Evermind? I mean, of course, like Terry, you have decades of experience, and so you've probably been familiar with both sides of the world between Marvel and DC. But I feel like with Evermind, it may be something different as well. So we'd love for you to share that and kind of answer Stan's question at the same time. I'll be right back.
Yeah, it's actually very different doing your own story as opposed to working for Marvel or DC. So I've always worked on other people's scripts, and there's always a little bit of a disconnect between the story and what I'm drawing. And sometimes the writers don't tell me the significance of the story they're telling. There might be an important moment that fans have been waiting for a long time, and sometimes the writer doesn't clue me into that, so I kind of draw it like it's an ordinary scene, and then luckily it goes over well. But then I find out years later how important that scene was. I wish I knew, because maybe I would have spent more time drawing it. But in terms of what you do first, for me, because I'm the writer and artist, there are some scenes that are very visual that I would just go ahead and I wouldn't even write down any script. I would just kind of plot it out. And then some of them are very dialogue driven, so I just write what everyone's saying and then base the art on that. And then some are, there's all sorts of types in between. One of the luxuries of something that I can do is basically as I go along, so there's something in the story that I find out really needs to, you usually do a lot of different drafts to get the story to be in better and better shape. Maybe sometimes as many as like 15 drafts for me for this book. And then you end up, because Carl says it's time to draw something, turn something in, start drawing it. But really, you can do a couple more drafts. I mean, it makes the story better. But what I can do is actually go back and I think, you hear me, but I think my screen went black. Can you guys hear me?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
We can hear you.
All right. Okay. So yeah, I get to work
You're
back and forth.
incognito.
Yeah. So, but yeah, it's for me because I'm doing the whole art and writing process. I can just move forward with whatever part is easier to get the project going. So yeah. And you know, in terms of working together with in the same room as the writer, you know, because I'm one person, I get to do that. But it's strange, like these days, ever since COVID, everyone's been doing animation and making movies all in separate from their home in their own studios, and then they kind of compile it all onto the screen. And I'm surprised at how well it works. You know, it still works. I think I saw this picture of in one of the Spider-Man movies. Tom Holland has a scene where he kisses Zendaya, and she was off doing her TV show. So this is something that was written later on. So Tom Holland had to kiss, because she was wearing their school backpacks, he had to kiss this person in a green screen suit, like one that covered in green. And I don't even know if it was a girl who was in that thing, but that green screen guy was wearing a backpack. And so he was kissing Tom Holland, and then they put her in later. And
That's kind of astonishing.
It's a very intimate scene, but you know, I wouldn't be able to tell in the finished product. But that's how things are made now. It's all the creatives are separate, and they collaborate from their own home studios, and it all comes together well enough, I guess.
Well, I think, you know, it's funny because as Terry was saying, the comic book industry has sort of progressed towards people being more siloed and relying on emails and all that. But we actually live in a time where a writer can collaborate with an artist who lives halfway around the world, thanks to tools like we're using now and Zoom and stuff like that. So the opportunity to collaborate, I mean, Andrea and I don't live in the same city. We live in the same time zone, but not the same city. And the opportunity is there to, as you said, be everybody in a different place, but still work on the same thing. And the final product, you can't even tell the difference.
Yeah, thanks for that question, Stan. That was a really good, thoughtful question, like you always have. Let's go to the audience here. We got Jane, obviously, still supporting from behind the scenes and up front. E-Man says, "What up, fam? I'm super excited for Evermind. Good morning, panel and chat." And then Jane again, and then E-Man had a quick thing to Terry. I loved Heroes Be Damned. I can't wait for issues 4 through 6. Yeah, Terry has worked very closely with Vince through the process, and I agree. Great work, Terry.
Honestly, it didn't take a lot of work. Vince is an incredible talent, and you know, to what Sean was saying, Sean is the writer and artist on Evermind. I always had a bit of a fear of writer-artists combined, unless they were very experienced at it, because what can happen is sometimes the writer part of them can take a shortcut figuring they'll pick it up in the art, or vice versa. That was not the case with Sean on this, and definitely not the case with Vince on Heroes Be Damned. He took no shortcuts whatsoever, and he challenged himself in the writing stage to draw things that were going to be very, very difficult, and then pulled them off. I'm really glad you liked it.
It's great. I agree. I'm glad too. And DGC, congratulations on successful Kickstarter campaign. Wow, looks like we have another question from Stan. Very thoughtful, and hope the panel is ready for this one, because he's asking, how does the panel view AI art? Woohoo! Quite the topic these days.
Yeah.
Who wants to go first?
You want me to say?
Go for it.
I think AI, it's very scary. I think it's great for companies. It makes great products, and I'm very impressed with what it can do. So if you're a company and the bottom line is something that you have to watch, AI is very helpful. It's a lot of shortcuts. It saves you a lot of money, and it puts out, I think, for the most part, really great work. As a creative, though, you're on this path as a creative from being something that's on the very beginning stages, an amateur, and then you kind of progress through and become a full-on creator. So with me, at my age, everything I went through to get here is basically starts with drawing stick figures and then not being very happy with what comes out, then just struggling. And then that struggle is on a continuum until you get to a very high level. And one of the good things is you can move from that drawing into writing, into making little, if you go to my Instagram, I have like a lot of like little projects and little craft things. I do a lot of home renovation and stuff like that. All of that comes from the same place. And it's about like stretching your brain and pushing your brain and struggling along the creative process. I mean, we do these things not because they're easy, but because they're hard. And because they're hard, they make you better as a creative, and your brain becomes like a very powerful like a computer. It can actually generate things and create on demand. So, honestly, as a creative, I would say don't even touch it, not even once. But if you're a company that has a different concern, I think it's a powerful tool for them.
Yeah, in fact, I figure while Sean's screen is blacked out, I'll go through the many cover galleries that we have for Evermind, and this is covering our physical and digital worlds that are not of AI, fully hand-drawn, painted, etc. We're gonna have a guest here shortly who has probably really good insight into the world of AI and kind of where things are at and how it could be ethically used. But before that, who else wants to take the question next?
What I can say is I find when people end up discussing whether AI is good or bad, that's not really the discussion that should be had. It exists. It's real. It's not, the genie's not going back in the bottle. So what the discussion needs to be is how to use it to its best effect for the creators, for the business. As Sean said, I'm on the board of a school in New Orleans, and last year I was the sole voice. They were talking about this year they were going to have all the students stay an extra hour and a half after school so that they could be monitored while they did their homework and make sure they weren't using AI or ChatGPT. And I was the sole voice that argued against that. I said, not only is that impractical, a lot of these kids had jobs after school or had to pick up their siblings or whatever, but they're going to be going out into a world that has AI in every corner of it. And to just ignore it would be like telling kids they couldn't use computers to do their homework. They would be unprepared for the real world.
Yeah, completely agree. And it's funny, as we were scrolling through the cover gallery, this one was the next one. And as timely can be, he also just happened to pop on and will be joining us today on our panel. So Mr. Legendary Stephen Platt, how's it going?
Hello, everybody.
Hey,
My
Stephen.
goodness. Well, Stephen, your cover contribution was such a blessing, but you also popped in at perfect timing because we have Stan in the audience asking the panel how we view AI art. So you know a thing or two about AI.
Obviously, as a creative, I think the AI transformative technology, proposition is inevitable. But I think that when I tell young people, when young people come to me and we just had Lightbox this weekend, and when young people come to me and they sort of want to know what they should do, I just said, make sure you're really good at whatever you choose. And if AI is then being used in the workflow, wherever you may end up working, you'll have to work with it. But at the end of the day, it's only going to be as good as you are. And what is happening often with AI workflows is that the artist is constantly doing corrections on AI's misinformation or hallucinations, and so it can produce a lot of images, but it's difficult to dial in AI with a lot of specificity. Now, when you're having a conversation about technology, especially artificial intelligence, rather than being contemporaneous in the conversation and say this is what it is today, it's always about what it's going to be 5 years from now, and you have to be able to project the AI capabilities 5 years down the road. Jim Lee made a huge statement just before New York, or maybe it was at New York.
At New York,
yeah, and then Marvel was obviously forced to make a statement just because Jim had stepped out in such a big way that AI was not welcome at least at the publishing side of those two companies. They belong to much bigger companies, and those bigger companies may have other ambitions with regards to artificial intelligence in their large company infrastructure. But as far as it goes on the editorial sort of art making level at DC Comics and now at Marvel Comics and at Dark Horse Comics, they don't want the artists using AI. AI is not welcome in the workflow. If you're using AI and they find out about it, you're probably not going to work there anymore. Like, they're being very deliberate and very clear that, because I think what happened is they started to understand from the consumer side and from the customer side is like, and this is something I've seen for years now with the AI proposition, that AI may make things that may get eyeballs, but it's not anything that anyone's willing to actually pay for. And I think that transactional proposition of AI hasn't manifested yet. And I think people will look at artificial intelligence and go, oh, it's curious. You can make animals say things and you can create these other characters, but AI as a work assistant, I can see that. But AI as sort of the driving creative force right now, I think people look at it and say, you may make me curious. I might look at your stuff, but I'm not going to give you money for it. And I think that's what DC and Marvel realized. Definitely DC realized, because every time I would do anecdotal, very non-scientific polling on the issue, every person almost unanimously was like, I would never fucking pay for this shit. I would never pay for AI. I would never pay for an AI comic. Why would I pay for something that someone couldn't care enough to create themselves, right? Yeah. It's just a machine output. It's a statistical predictive model that creates what it has 1 trillion parameters now, right? Yeah. And it can create something that looks like manga. It can output something that looks like manga because it has 1 trillion manga parameters that are informing the data set, or that is loaded the data set and informing the predictive model. That's not something I might look at it and be curious and see how close it got, but it's not something I think, oh, that's worth $5 for me at the cash register. And so that proposition, I think, made it all the way up to the leadership positions at both at the large major companies, and everybody was like, you know what, our customers hate this stuff, and right now it's not a business proposition that we're willing to be involved with. That being said, I have friends, I've been in the art game now for 40 years. I have friends all over in every different sector of the professional illustrator business. And there are lots of gaming companies that are massive blue chip gaming companies that have fully invested in the AI art department model. And it comes in and they have told me, like, it's funny. I said, what are you doing? How's it going over there? And they said, I'm in the wallpaper business. And I'm like, okay, you're going to have to tell me what that means. And then they told me, and they basically said, we would get, this is a very general, non-specific illustration, but we'd get like something, we'd have a brief come in Monday morning and say, hey, we're adding a character. She's an ice warrior princess. She's made of ice and whatever. And you would prompt that into a AI generation model, whatever product that is, and you would get like 80, 100 different versions. And it just starts to fill up the wall, where you just fill up the wall constantly with these massive, outputs, right? And you get 100 or 200 in one day. But they're all, and that's the wallpapering of, the art department with like a single character, but then none of them are very specific. And now you have to sort of go through with a marker and kind of start to point out which one has something that you like. And then a human artist, right, which is their job, is to come in with specificity and real craftsmanship and like real concept art skills and sort of take the ones that got picked and then refine those. And that's where now it comes into, well, how much AI do you use in the refinement process? Because there's non-specificity in the refinement process too. And so you're constantly having human passes at AI outputs, right? And that makes that's what the wallpaper business meant when they said that. And that is happening all over the gaming industry. And so what you're taking 6 months of work or 3 months of work and turning it into like 4 days a week, right? So there's a massive compression of schedule. There's a massive compression of hours worked, which means hours built, which means massive cuts in expenditures to human artists. And that is the AI proposition in the professional illustration game as it exists right now, because that model of we're going to output massive amounts of art with AI and then have a human pass come in and refine so we can put something on picture. Because right now, copyright law and IP law says if AI outputs something and that becomes the final product, that is not something you own. That is not something anybody owns because it was not made by a human. So copyright and IP legislation right now does not cover you if you took something that was an AI output and put it in your show. You have to have a human being work on it. And if that's what makes it to picture, when I say make it to picture, that's what ends up on screen. That what makes it to picture, that's what you can copyright. That's your IP property. But anything else that you made with artificial intelligence before that, is not protected. So you need people to make the thing.
So interesting.
Yeah.
That's a big one. So what if a part of a movie was made on AI? Stan, thanks for this question. We're gonna probably like wrap it up after this part of the conversation. But curious, Steven, like what happens like if, let's say, you have an opening sequence on a movie and a filmmaker decide to use AI for it? Does that mean that opening sequence is public domain immediately?
I think that's what is troubling. And this is why, if I do a work agreement with any studio, streamer, Netflix, studio, Fox, it doesn't matter. There's, right now AI is prohibited, right? Unless you get written permission. And that goes all the way up, that gets elevated all the way up to legal, because they're like, right now, the legal ambiguity of any AI creation or any AI output being on screen as your final product, the ambiguous protection language around AI produced images, right, is enough to scare studios to say, if we don't know for sure that we own the footage because it was an AI output that no human being created, right? You may not own the footage, but the IP that you created that's in the footage, you might own the IP that's in the footage, but you may not actually own the footage because the footage, no human touched it.
Yeah.
Right? This is all, look, this is not a rabbit hole I thought I was going to go down this morning.
Yeah, it was perfect timing though.
No. But I'm on an AI task force with my union. I'm on another AI creative advocates group. And we went to Capitol Hill to talk with members of Congress. And this was a year and a half ago. And, all of the congressional staffers, all of the lead council people in all of those offices, whether, Republican, Democrat, it didn't matter, both chambers, it didn't matter. They're all kind of like telling you, look, in all candor, we have to let you know, we're not really willing to write legislation until we get the rulings from the judicial. Like, they want to see all these cases resolved at the judicial level. And of course, here's the technology moving at light speed right now with total legal ambiguity and total ambiguous protection, right? And that's going to continue to evolve cycle after cycle after cycle, much faster than the internet ever did. And you have Congress that which is not moving at all on any legislation or regulation or oversight. And that's, at some point, they're going to be forced to do something because, now you have the studios saying, we're going to sue OpenAI because OpenAI are trying to create the legal precedent simply with their business practice of saying any movie we make, they can take it and put it in the data set, like every frame of it.
That's crazy. That's
Yeah. So you have all the major talent agencies, all of the major studios now are basically saying, we understand AI as its transformative proposal, but we're not going to let these private companies, take everything we've ever made, ingest it into their data set so they can use it on their product and not get paid, and not pay us. Now, it's also, as we were in the 5 days we're in Washington, they'll tell you, like, there's a whole lobby there, right, to push back on the legislation, to push back. This is all from the technology companies, to push back, to slow down those rulings and to slow down that legal process as much as possible, filing appeal after appeal. And so this may go to the Supreme Court, but it may not be in the Supreme Court for another 2 or 3 years, right? Because this is going to go through several federal appeal circuits. Sure. It's just going to go round and round. Meanwhile, OpenAI and all the other, the 10 companies that are deeply leveraged in AI are just going to keep creating products and keep moving as fast as they can. So I can tell you, Washington's moving super slow, and the technology is moving super fast.
Yeah, that's crazy. Right? Yeah. We're so fast.
So fast. And so if you've used AI in your movie, right? Number one, there may be no legal protection around the footage that you've made that's AI, right? Which would be a really, but what is also kind of weird and ironic and interesting is that your whole movie is going to get scraped into a data set to be used in more AI.
Yeah, that's true.
So it's AI scraping AI to create more AI.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, but that's not what the AI companies don't want. That the AI companies want real data, right? They don't want more AI data, and that's what they're starting to eat the thing. So becomes the snake eating its tail.
So crazy.
Yeah. So they're scraping their own stuff now because they're out of the raw data. They've basically taken the entire internet, scraped it into their data set, trillions of parameters of predictive models for their predictive model, and now they're stuff. So now they're like scraping stuff that's being outputted from the same models that they were scraping for.
Wow.
It's insane. I mean, couldn't have entered at a better time, Stephen, as the question came in. So I think Stan got.
I would say this one more time. One of the things I would always tell people is be a great artist first, and then you always know what AI is doing. If you let AI start to take over your artistic process because you don't know, you don't have the skill sets, or it takes longer. I've always said to young artists, if you don't know what to do, right? If you don't know how to do it, then you don't know what the AI is doing. You don't know what you're doing if you don't know how to do it yourself. Always know how to do it yourself first, and then when the AI, if you do use an AI assist in your pipeline, whatever workflow you're in, you will know if the AI is doing it right or doing it wrong. But if you don't know, because you don't have the knowledge base yourself, then you don't know what the AI is doing.
Yeah.
And that's not a good place to be.
Sort of eroded by AI.
Yeah. No, I think,
I read a whole article about children's critical thinking skills being eroded because children, college kids, because they're relying on, at this time in life where you're supposed to kind of learn a lot of these basic skills. And so they're not ever developing the ability. I would think young artists, to go to Sean's point, could have the same risk. Is that, maybe those smaller, sort of more mundane tasks are the ones that are being outsourced by companies to AI. And that means that an up-and-coming artist isn't being asked to do it, and they're not developing that bedrock skill base that you need to elevate to a level like Brian and PJ and Sean.
Yeah,
it's true. So with that said, I could talk about something that's not AI, which is this amazing cover that you did
Thank you.
for Evermind. So I want to bring Sean on just to kind of react to it. He's having some technical difficulties. Sean, can you hear us?
I can hear you. I don't know if you can hear me and see me.
We can hear you as well. I would love for you to kind of comment. Actually, we should have the whole panel comment on this cover. And then, Steven, I'll bring it back to you to share what you shared with me in New York, which I thought was very moving in just your approach to it all. But yeah, Sean, please, we'd love to hear from you first.
Well, I love this cover. I think it has a very powerful silhouette. I think it kind of sums up the story. Most important thing is with this book, it has a lot of dense technical stuff, like the robot stuff, and then the fact that it's all jumbled and messy. It can get very overwhelming unless you are an artist that can take control over the composition. So there is some very complex things in here that can really go wrong, but the empty white background, the powerful silhouette, and also, more importantly, the very daring color scheme, which is a gradation of hot pink and the purple and the blue. It keeps you from rendering every single object. So there's you can tell that there's a seasoned artist taking control over this image and bringing it to its best in the final form.
Thank you, Sean. Wow. Can I get that in writing?
well, even better, we'll cut it into a video for you.
I got it. I love it.
Yeah, it's amazing. How about the rest of the panel? Anyone? I mean, Terry, you were the first to see it, even before me. What was your initial reaction when this came across?
The same reaction I have to everything Steven does. It's powerful. That's what he brings to the work. It's really powerful, and not just in the execution of it, but from the design up. I totally agree with Sean that the white background really adds a lot in this case. Anything else would be distracting and unnecessary. We see exactly what Steven meant for us to focus on. Is that fair, Steven?
Yeah, no, that's exactly. I mean, yeah, I think it's just, one of the things, because I was such a detail fanatic, and that's just me. I'm never going to change. But it was whenever this is what I was talking to Carl about in New York at your place, Terry. When I draw covers, I always try to sort of catch a moment in the story, and when I read Evermind and then I started to see the relationship between Jen and her father. For me, it was like she's his little girl, and I just imagined like there was this massive battle and the smoke clearing, and he's looking for her as a parent would, and she's atop this pile of these deadly robots, and he just sees, maybe as the smoke through the mist and the haze, he just sees the eyes first, and then the rest of it starts to clear out. And it's this little girl, and she's wrecked everything. Like and there is that moment where that parent goes, "Is that still my kid? Like, what? You know what I mean? Are you still in there? Like, what is that? Right?" And so she's safe and she's okay, but is she the same? Did something change? And going back to the whole transhumanism conversation, and this is going back, to Ghost in the Shell and to William Gibson and everything. When you connect your consciousness to a vast and infinite network, are you still you, and how much of you still remains, and how much of that network and that universe begin to change you? And has she downloaded something that made her this? And she's got this capability now, is she still Jen? And that starts to unfold as the parent starts to witness the child now change, right?
Wow.
And that was it. I was just in my head. That's where I was going with it. I was like, if you're she's on. Yeah, it's a cool image, and I love drawing this stuff. I love drawing tech, and I had just come back from Japan and seen and went to the Matsumi Shiro exhibit,
Nice.
Which was phenomenal. He's another freaking genius. So, yeah, it was just had a profound impact on me, and I just love the idea of her she's there and it's still his child, but now she's something so utterly dissimilar than what she was before. And
that is really poignant, and probably something that every girl dad will experience.
yeah,
at some
I'm a
point.
girl dad, and that's what I
Yep.
thought.
Yep.
Like, if that was my child, I'd be so glad that she's safe and kind of happy that she's showing signs of like she can survive in this new body and this new world for her. But I'm like, is my daughter still in there? Is the kid that is my baby still, is she gone, or is this what it is now? And I think that's just kind of, that's the whole core of that whole image.
And on some level, we all experience that sooner or later with our daughters.
Yeah.
When they
Yeah.
go from child to woman.
Yeah.
Is that still my little baby?
That's ahead of me, but yeah,
it's coming.
I know.
Brian, PJ, Francis, any reactions to this this masterpiece here?
This is such a, first of all, super big fan, of course. This is such
Thank
a
you.
Stephen Platt cover. Like, just last week, a friend of mine was trying to like sell a bunch of his comics, and the one comic that he couldn't get rid of, that he didn't want to get rid of, was your Moon Knight 55.
Oh yeah.
And yeah, when we were, he's not gonna believe we're in a stream together. He's
Oh
gonna
really?
freak out. Yeah, first of all,
that's cool.
So yeah, looking at it now, there's a menace to it, but coming from what you talked about, like how you explained the cover. You would, as a father, you would be glad to see that menace in your child at that moment.
Yeah.
And it's such a solid cover. Love it.
Since you're talking about it, we got both Stephen and Terry
Right?
on this Reddit.
Exactly. Exactly.
I'm assuming your friend couldn't get rid of this because of my writing. It's just a guess.
Man, this is so nostalgic, dude. Just going back to it. Yes.
Yeah.
It's on at Stephen's table at New York Comic Con.
I know I had to do, it was a lot of convincing to let me ink it. I do remember that.
Joey Cavalieri, the editor, you had to convince?
I don't know who it was. I know that it wasn't like sure, go ahead, ink your cover. That was not the conversation.
Right. Stephen, who else could have inked this?
No, dude, I just posted
that's
the
true.
pencils.
Good question.
Really?
I just posted the pencils, and the pencils are line for line that cover. Like there's literally every line was penciled, and I'm pretty sure. I think they sat me down. They had me sit down with a Marvel bullpen inker, and the inker tried to explain to me like why I should draw differently,
so he could do less work.
Yeah, or something, it was, and I just nodded. I did a lot of active listening, and I nodded and smiled.
Every time I get that issue to sign, I have to find a place to sign it.
Yeah.
Where are we going with this?
Yeah. I just sign in the logo every time.
Yeah.
It's the only place that's left.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I know, Francis, you're a little newer to comics, but you've definitely been very active in this space. When you see Stephen's work, like, you have more fresher eyes. Like, I'm guessing nostalgia isn't part of your journey, but because you've been more of a film guy. But when you kind of saw Stephen's cover, was there any immediate reactions to it?
Well, there was. Of course, I was looking at it through the lens of creating the campaign for Evermind, and there's so many elements in this that was perfect. I think I don't remember if we're currently featuring it on the thumbnail. We have. It's so striking, and it's really interesting to hear Stephen talk about the what's going on, what inspired this image. She certainly seems very predatory in this moment, the fact that she's looking directly at us and all that is very powerful. But what I like about it is they've talked about the white background, that sort of clear, high contrast, striking, evocative imagery that's comics at its best. So that was my reaction when I saw it, and I immediately wanted to use it. I think we put it on our splash page even before with Sean's art before we launched.
Yeah.
I just felt it was something really striking.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah, so I guess what Francis was referring to is at the top of this campaign, we actually did like a mix mash of V2s,
right.
which was great because it really did attract a lot of attention, and we saw some eyeballs pop in. So thank you. If someone got us through over the hump of the 24,000, and the last 24 hours now, guys. I mean, Kickstarter has been great to us. They're on strike. We are doing also a special lithograph with the guys at Planet Death for everyone who contributes. We have the panel here, folks, for another 15 minutes or so. If anyone in the stream has any questions, please let us know. Apparently, it's a popular time to stream because we usually stream in the afternoon or evenings, and today we have a huge showing of viewers. So it's been great.
What are we at? 4,000? What is it? 500? We should be at 24,700. Right? Like, that's the
that's true. We need to get 300 more. Someone.
Land there. But I believe that anybody watching should help us get to 24,700. It's just fitting.
Yes.
Amen. I mean, Francis is our campaign manager here, so you guys heard it first. Get us to 24,700.
400. Yeah, we need 300 to get there.
We'll celebrate somehow. Someone do a 300 upgrade.
That's right.
So Stephen, since we have you now, what was our up to? I'm sure Brian had a bunch of questions for you, but we lost Brian, and then Sean, you're still here, I think. But do you have any questions for Stephen? Stephen for Sean? We'd love for you guys to dialogue a little bit here.
I have a question. I would love to hear Sean talk, if Sean's with us. I don't see him, but last we were able to hear him. I'm curious because he was talking about the writing process, being a writer-artist, kind of how Daniel worked into that process, and if Daniel's presence helped him to have that perspective that Terry talked about writer-artists sometimes losing. Where you because you're so completely, it's all coming from you.
Oh,
Sean?
So can you hear me?
We can.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So I think I said before about how when we conceived of this story, it was basically concept, because it's a sci-fi. Concept and plot seem to be all that you need for that. It's typically all that you come up with. So it came time to actually start writing this, but I was kind of reluctant to start because of all the work that was ahead, drawing the robots and stuff and the robot battles. So what I found out was missing was the character and theme. And when Daniel was brought on board, we had a big discussion about what the story is really about, aside from just the action that's happening on the surface. So the real story I found out as a writer is that that story that's underneath, the relationship between the father and the daughter, and also the motivation of this scientist who is really hell-bent on becoming recognized and being great. I think he's seen his peers kind of pass by him, and he thinks he's smarter and better, but the world doesn't seem to agree. So he goes down this very dark path of trying to make up for that. And that idea, that theme of trying to achieve greatness at the expense of everything like family, that was a good theme that you can really go deep on. And then the characters, to go very multi-leveled with them and have their arc, that made all the difference in the world. And that's what Daniel brought when he came in, because he made a very pivotal decision in his career where he had to step away from Hollywood at a very important time when he had some momentum going to deal with his family. He had a young daughter and an aging father. And he said, I got to get my priorities straight. I got to make a very important decision. I may have to give up all the momentum I have. And in Hollywood, that could be the kiss of death, because he's in his prime years. But he focused on his family, and he kind of did what was right. And this is not a decision that very many Hollywood actors make. So this is a story that almost like what if Daniel made the other decision, to make the decision to focus on career, why he would do that. And also to even present some arguments as to why you should. So that it explores that very deeply, and all of a sudden, when that was put in place, the story really took off, and I could spend the rest of my life drawing this story because of that. All that was in place.
Yeah, that's great. As Sean answered, I figured it'd be a good time to browse through the cover gallery again. And one cover that we didn't talk about yet, and maybe Terry could chime in for this, is Mr. Alan Davis' contribution to the campaign.
Yes, I love this cover. I love the peeling of the skin and showing. It shows both the human part of her and the robotic part of her. And Alan really did want to try and focus on the relationship between the daughter and the father. And I don't know that we would know this if it hadn't been explained to me. I don't think I would have. But he posed them very specifically with the dad sort of his arms on both sides of her in this very protective way. He wanted her in the front, but he wanted to show that the dad still had her back, basically.
It's cool.
I love Alan's work.
There's a clean one somewhere here. Here it is. There's a clean art for it. All right. So, we're approaching the end of the stream. We're about 8 more minutes. Any other thoughts from the panel today? First of all, thank you everyone for your time, for contributing. Brian, I think you have to sign off. It's late from the Philippines. But I think it's our last 24 hours. It's been a great journey ahead. And, it's been, really takes a village.
Congratulations to all of you.
And I feel like our conversation about AI, it's fitting with the themes of this story. This idea of unchecked ambition being tied to technology. That's exactly what we're all being confronted with that Stephen was talking about so eloquently. I was wondering, Sean, to what degree you were specifically thinking about AI and the sort of what it presented to society when you were writing this story, because it really fits.
We started this process embarrassingly a long time ago. Like, it takes me a while to create an entire comic. So this is before the AI was really a conversation. But we see examples all the time of technology that sometimes it was we make these technologies because we can, and not really knowing exactly what it could be used for. It's just like it's a next step of reachable evolution in technology, and we'll figure out a use for it later because there's going to be use for it, and trying to find a way to monetize it before even asking whether it should be done. So I've kind of seen that throughout history. It's just kind of like strange that this story was happening while this larger conversation was happening about AI. And really, there isn't that much about AI. If you think about this story, it's not really artificial intelligence. It's basically a person's intelligence put into an artificial body. So it's kind of like the opposite. But in broad strokes, it's a very similar thing about unchecked technology. And also, if I could say, if someone gets us to 24,700, I'll draw them a little sketch card of their choice. So.
Nice. All right.
Yeah.
There we go. You guys heard, and there's a little message from Daniel. And so, guys, if you haven't backed already.
Sketch cards are very popular, Sean. Once the sketch cards were put on, they started getting snatched up right away.
Yeah, so if you could get us, anyone get us to 700. Well, I'll draw one for you.
All righty. So I think we're landing the ship. Any kind of last reflections, folks, from anyone from the panel? Stephen, thank you for your time.
You're welcome. It's good to meet everybody. Terry, you're still in New York, I see.
Great.
I am. I'm here. I'm trying to get out, but not doing very well.
He's got a lot of tasks on his hands before he has to go. So we all wish you luck, Terry. PJ, any from New York?
Well, first of all, that's a beautiful Sugarman action figure behind Terry. I've been wanting to get one for quite some time. And yeah, it's really funny how I became part of the project. It was so random, Carl. Like really, like if I didn't check my buried messages, I wouldn't be here. So yeah, it's awesome to be part of the project, and it's great meeting you guys. Some of you are my heroes, and yeah, it's a proud. I'm very proud to be part of this project in my own little way.
Yeah, really
Cool.
happy to have you here as well, Stephen. You missed this earlier, but this is PJ's piece.
Oh, gorgeous. Nice.
Thank you.
Wow. That's a lot of work.
Thank you.
Yeah. Those are hard to pull off. The image and the image. That's a really good job.
And he was explaining earlier, Stephen, that the goal was to capture the fact that her soul was still in this robotic body.
Yeah. Yeah. That's why I put the eyes glowing. I was like, that's kind of like the first thing you want to see, and then the smoke clears and the silhouette. And it also reminds me of like sort of a cat. When you see images of a cat that's standing on top of something that's just killed, like even panthers, or it was feline and feral, as
ferocious was my kind of description for your cover. Most ferocious I've seen in Gen, like just through the course of the story. So
it's almost that moment where he looks at her and he says Jen, but it's Jen with a question mark. It's Jen.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? That's kind of how.
Yeah.
Not like, are you okay? It's more like,
Are you Jen?
Are you Jen? Right?
Are you there?
Yeah.
Am I gonna be okay?
Yeah.
All right. I mean, Francis, since you're the campaign manager for this, any call to action that our audience should be aware of?
Absolutely. Check out all of the tiers. We have so many cool different options. We have all the variant covers, but we also have some really cool collections that are worth looking at and that are exclusive to this campaign. So that means there's 24 hours left to get your hands on them. So take your time with it. And then also, once you pledge, we have a lot of cool add-ons, some of which just dropped in the last day or two, and the campaign page doesn't even talk about them yet. As I mentioned, Sean's sketch cards, I don't know if any are left, but if they are, that's something you could find in the add-ons, as well as some other original art of Sean's and individual issues you can get from the collections, the holographic foil set. For example, you can buy those individually in the metal cover. So take your time, look at it, but don't take too long because it ends in 24 hours.
Yep, 24 hours, guys. Last call, and if you have friends that you think will like this, definitely chime in as well. I don't know what's going on with Kickstarter. I think there's two on strike, so some of the tech has been kind of funky as well. So
Kickstarter's on strike?
They've been on strike. We're informed that they were on strike the day before our campaign launch. And we had to work probably like double, triple as hard just to get the numbers that we normally get, because they're usually very supportive and pushing the campaign forward. And so it's been a grind for sure. But
we're impressive that you've reached your goal.
Yes, we reached your goal. So that's what matters.
Yeah.
So Sean, why don't you land us in our last minute, Sean? Any words for backers and also potential backers, etc., for the panel?
So as an artist working for Marvel at DC for 3 decades, eventually you kind of graduate and see whether you can do something, take controls over what you create. So this is the project. It sort of sums up all of my experience, and I spent a lot of time writing. Even though I haven't written for 30 years, I do have to actually take a deep dive into learning writing. So this is what I put out there, and I hope, I really want people to check it out. At least maybe the tilt tier. It's like very affordable. You can get the entire story. I hope this is a story that people...
Cool.
Yeah, I think cut out.
All right.
Can you still hear me?
Yeah, you're back now.
We can hear you now.
Okay. Anyway, I just want to say I hope people check it out. So.
Awesome. So we're gonna land,
All
guys.
this is to sell to present the story that Sean created. It's really worth checking out.
Absolutely.
Really
So
is.
thank you guys. Thanks for tuning in this morning, folks. We'll see. And for those who's watching on the rewind, thank you for tuning in. And panel, please stay on until your recording has been uploaded. And we'll say goodbye to the stream. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.